Students often ask me, why did you decide to work with trauma in particular? I'm a Hakomi therapist, and it's a mindfulness-based somatic psychotherapy, which is very gentle and kind and very elegant. And so how does that work with trauma? Trauma seems to be overwhelming and difficult to work with, right? But actually, that's exactly why I dove into trauma work, because it needs a lot of care, sensitivity, and deep attunement, not just relationally, but to the body. Trauma, as we know, is very much held in the body. The patterns of trauma are held in the body. Intergenerational trauma, collective trauma, and so on are held deeply in the patterns of the body, in our nervous system. And it needs a kind of careful tending, moment to moment, of what is actually occurring to the client. And that's always what grabbed my attention the most. Trauma can be overwhelming for certain for the client, and can be overwhelming also for the therapist. But with Hakomi Method and being trauma informed, there is this incredibly powerful moment to moment unfolding that allows me as a therapist to take the time to really be with the client, feel and sense who they are, not just about their story, what they've gone through, but what their potential is. Because every trauma has a wisdom to it. And that sounds maybe, contradictory in some ways, but it actually is true. Just like any kind of plant that is challenging, if you go to certain parts of the world, there's a plant that's toxic, but right next to it grows the medicine. And that's a principle of healing. Whatever we fear most, whatever the most discomfort is, whatever we want to push away the most, what we want to avoid, which are all coping mechanisms with trauma, it holds actually the medicine. And what we do in Hakomi is we excavate that medicine. We excavate what are some of these healing intelligences that are operating in every single client, no matter how difficult their trauma, their story has been, their woundedness has been, it's actually right there. And the beauty about our Hakomi method is that we have this deep listening to the organic unfolding of the client. We believe that their intelligence is right there inside of them, in their body, in their bones, and we can dive into it with such careful listening and tending to the relationship and tending to what their body needs in this moment and the next moment and the next moment. So when I work with trauma, it's really about listening deeply to what actually wants to emerge. What is the healing that wants to come forth? What's the growth that wants to come forth? The client, because of their trauma identifications, because of the pain that they're suffering, often is not in touch with the growth and the healing that has already occurred or that wants to occur. And so I find trauma work very inspirational because it gives me hope that there's always healing and change possible. And that's why I do it. That's why I work with the Hakomi method that is so deeply relational and respectful of people's processes and helps people to get in touch with how they can transform and heal.